Welcome to the fourth episode of the greatest podcast ever, the I Am Podcast. First of all, we want to thank the great I Am for being present with us right now today. And so we're going to have an amazing episode with you. We have a guest on our episode, and he's going to share some amazing things. First off, he's going to give his testimony, Mike is. And then, secondly, we're going to go into a little bit about some digital currency, cryptocurrency, that stuff, because they have some knowledge about that as well. So, to start it off, Unc, you want to introduce yourself?
I am child of God Joseph, and I'm going to bring the wisdom.
Amen. Let's go. All right. So, child of God, Mike, let's start with your testimony. How did your relationship with God start?
Well, for me, I grew up in a house where I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. Um, very religious, spiritual minded women. My father wasn't in the home, but the Lord had a path for me to where we were in church almost every Sunday. Um, so my understanding of the religious side um, of Christ started at a young age in the Baptist church. Um, Coming up as life experiences happen, I drifted, started experiencing things in the streets, ended up going into the military. But during the time of the military, um, I understood as I look back, that was a warring time for me. Even though I had an understanding of Christ, what he had done, I didn't actually give my life over until I was around 17, 18 when I went into the military. Because at that time I was wrestling with things pertaining to what I was seeing. Because I came up during the civil rights issue. I was a young child during that time. So uh, my uh, my attitude toward what I was seeing was had me in a pretty much a violent mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So, toward what I was seeing and what I was experiencing. But I'm thankful that the Lord settled me in a place where I started understanding the nature of the Spirit of God and the nature of man. And through that, uh, while I was in the service, that was a time when I knew I committed my life to Christ. He kept me through a lot of situations when I was in the army, even though I didn't see any wartime as far as going out physically fighting, but there was a spiritual warfare going on that I knew that was going on within me and that I saw played out, in different situations that I went through in my life. So at that time, I would say around when I was 17, 18 is when I gave my life to the Lord completely, to where I understood what was going on in my life, to where I understood who Christ was and the sacrifice he made for all of us. And that's when I accepted the Lord into my life. And during that time, he kept me, he sheltered me. Even as I put on this shirt,
Mm-hmm.
putting on the full armor of God, if you guys
Woo,
can
I
see it.
love it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
Yep,
love it.
yep.
that's a key issue, and I believe in our lives is when we understand that Christ ultimately has done everything for us, but the
Mm-hmm.
battle for us is to understand what He's done and to understand what we should be doing and what we
Mm-hmm.
should be doing in the earth. And I thank God for this time, especially with you brothers inviting me for this opportunity to share Christ. Anytime we can come together in fellowship, we know, even amongst the group that
Woo!
Brother Joseph and
Yeah,
I
I
are a
love it.
part of, we know that when two of us come together, that God is right here in the midst.
Yes, he
And we
is.
have a great opportunity to move forward in the Spirit of God. And
Mm-hmm.
also in the things of the natural things. It's like it's accelerated when we move in the Spirit of God. Though these natural things that we see, it changes our perspective and accelerates us through all of these things that we're battling against in this world. So I thank God for this opportunity. I thank God for the invite from you guys. The Lord knows exactly what He's doing, and He
Amen.
knows exactly the time that we're living in. And I truly believe that, as the Word says, that the wealth of the wicked has been stored up for his righteous for such a time as this that we're living
Mm.
Amen.
in.
Yes.
And I truly believe this, and that's what I walk in. And again, I thank God for this opportunity, and I thank you guys for opening the door that I would even be here today.
Oh, I
All right.
appreciate it, Mike, and we love that you're on here. Now, the next question is going to be, how has that relationship with God affected your life throughout this process? Because you did answer the question about how it started, and I love that story. So, how has it affected your life up until now?
Well, during the time when I came out of service, I got married early.
Hmm.
Um, I always believed that we should be paired up with the woman of God that God has in our life. And early on in my life, I went through a lot of trickery.
Mm.
I went through a lot of deception
Mm.
to where I was trying to make decisions, uh, and I should have been more patient. But I've been married twice in my life. I got married early, and there was a void. I would just say a void in between me and my first wife. It was uh, all of the red signs, all the stop signs, the red lights, and everything was there. All the warning signs were there, but I just kept pushing.
Mm.
I was just determined that this woman was my wife, and I was going to make this thing work. And I just went through what would be described as hell and high water during that relationship. And
Yeah.
we don't have time, brothers, to go through what I went through in that one. But
Amen.
I thank God
Amen.
that He brought me through it. And if I had not learned from the second one, from the first one, I learned from the second one. And so, but even during that time, the Lord started me in the ministry, even what I was going through. And one thing I found out, um, being a man of God, if the woman that we have, that we believe is the woman for us, and she's not committed to, first of all, to God, and then second of all to us, it's going to be demonstrated in our lives. And I'm telling you,
Mhm.
I had enough demonstrations in my life to know and to see that if and it comes down to anybody, if anybody isn't truly serving God, it's going to be signs and things that like the word says is that you'll know them by their fruit.
Mhm.
So it's not to where we have to judge anybody. It's like they're self judging themselves because we'll know them by their fruit, just as we're
Mhm.
known.
Amen.
And
Amen.
and I thank God for that. And but one thing the Lord gave me, I turned 65 this year, and one
Amen.
thing the Lord is showing me is that whatever we gave up for the sake of Christ, whatever in our lives that we ended up had to cut loose or that we had to leave behind, the Lord said, and I believe this promise, is that He's going to multiply whatever we gave up for the sake of peace, the sake of what's truth, is that He's going to multiply and we're going to see it in this lifetime. And, and,
Mhm.
and I truly believe that. And I think that, the direction that he's taking me and showing me it's a lot of doors that he's opening,
Mm.
and those and that wealth, which is not just financial wealth, but the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of relationships, that we have in our lives. It's like it's what's the term when something is just unvalued? You can't even put a value to it.
Mhm.
And I think that's what the Lord does for us as far as pertaining to wealth, is that what the relationship we have with our Father through Christ,
Mhm.
we can't even really put a price on that.
Mhm.
So that's why I believe He said that if you inherit the whole world but lose your soul, it's
Woo.
like, what is the value of it?
Ooh,
But
yes.
I truly believe that God is showing us through His Word, through His Spirit. The Word, I believe, is the foundation. The Spirit of
Mhm.
God, I believe, is the elevation. Now, the elevation for all three of us on this show, the elevation is how much we're committed to the Father through the Spirit of God.
All right.
So
Amen.
it's unlimited. It's unlimited, and
Mhm.
I thank God for it. I thank God that He's made us into ministers of His Word,
Mhm.
to ministers of truth, so
Mhm.
that when we're speaking, we can speak the truth, and that when we speak the truth, it establishes who God is, who we are, and what the work that we're doing on this side. And I thank
Mhm.
God for this, for the opportunity.
Oh, that's a blessing. I love that. That was great energy. So yeah, the last part would be, where do you feel your relationship with God has brought you right now? Where do you think you are at this moment and where you may be going?
At this moment, I believe God is using me even within my family to establish. We're talking about establishing the kingdom. I just had a conversation with my daughter. That was my daughter calling me on the phone just now. But a conversation with my daughter and with my oldest son pertaining to establishing certain things on this side, as far as a trust, a living trust, irrevocable trust, those type of things, to where what God is has given us, or what He has uh, actually prospered us with,
Mm.
that we can pass that on from generation to generation. If we don't understand the principles that we're working with on this side, that's why so much has been lost through generations. Is that
Mhm.
if we don't understand the hey, how can we keep this land in our family? How can we keep this wealth in our family? How can we teach our children, and it's so they can teach the grandchildren? We can teach our grandchildren and even our great grandchildren how to hold on to this wealth that the Lord
Mhm.
has blessed us with. Because if we believe truly that everything belongs to God, I don't believe that, well, the devil has this and the devil has it. If the devil does have anything, it still belongs to God. So in
Mhm.
the sense of that spiritual warfare, as far as what has been tricked from past generations, tricked from our fathers, our mothers,
Mhm.
our uncles, our family, those things that have been taken, still the Lord has given us the wisdom, understanding, and knowledge on how to put together wealth in this place that we're living at, so that the kingdom of God can be expressed through each and every one of us.
Mhm.
I look at each and every one of us as part of a system of this earth, to where the Spirit of God is using what we know we're made up of. We're made out of dirt.
Mhm.
That's what these bodies are made out of. So that
Yes.
once the Spirit of God affects this body, it changes us into that new creature that the Bible talks about, to where we identify with who we are, and we know who we are, and it changes our whole perspective as far as how we see our family, how we see those that we deal with on a daily basis, and how that the Spirit of God can use us to share the gospel of Christ,
Mhm.
and allow people to know that, hey, we are establishing the kingdom in the earth in our lives right now. So
Mhm.
that's how I see myself, it, as right now, being a co-partner with Christ, being
Amen.
being one that is used by the Spirit of God to
Mhm.
establish His kingdom in the earth, so that
Mhm.
it continue through our family in every generation, and that
Amen.
message will be shared through
Mhm.
everybody that we come in contact with.
Mhm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think earlier you said you can't put a value on it. And so for me, that means that the Spirit of God can't be quantified.
Mm,
It's infinite. You know, people try to make a God who makes anything possible, they try to put impossibilities on it. So I definitely agree with that statement. And I believe this podcast will help some people see some of these things, and also how we need to actually come together as a group. And there was a point you made other earlier, brother Mike, about relationships. There's a lot of these young people that need to hear what you just said, because
Amen.
sometimes we will try to force ourselves and situations into relationships that God did not get put in place, that we wanted in the spirit of God. It wasn't His will. And there's a lot of young people doing that. That's probably why the divorce rate is what, somewhere
So
around
high.
60%.
Yeah.
It's somewhere around 60%. That's because you're marrying who you wanted to marry, and it might have been because they looked good to you. It might have been because they had money. It might have been for however many reasons and what reasons it was. But if it wasn't ordained by God, it's not going to work out.
It's true.
So these young people have to figure that out. And the only reason I know it is because God has put a woman in my life, and it's been a blessing. I've been married once, and it's been over 18 years now we've been together.
Amen.
Yeah. And so it's just a continual process for us to grow and learn. And that's what this podcast is about, for these young people to learn.
Mhm.
So what did you think, related to what Brother Mike said in his testimony?
I think Brother Mike has a lot of wisdom in regards to that and salvation and God being sovereign. Because oftentimes, if you know people that's even in the church, they
Mm-hmm.
and out of the church, they look at God as the genie in the bottle. They call him up only when they want him or when they've gotten
Mm-hmm.
into trouble. But to
Mm-hmm.
walk in Christ is a relationship, it's not a religion.
Mm-hmm.
And too often people view walking in Christ as a religion. And they'll relate to him maybe once a week on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
See, but to walk in Christ is a lifestyle. It's a
Yes, it is.
relationship, just like husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the point when we come to know Him, as Brother Mike was saying, and then we have to look at the whole package. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just look at what you want, but you got to
Mm-hmm.
look at the fact that God is taking me from glory to glory, and we must put Him
Amen.
first in everything that we do. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was quite a bit, that Brother Mike was sharing, and I trust that the individuals that's listening in on this podcast would take it to heed that God is not your genie in the bottle. He is your
Mm-hmm.
Father. He's your Creator, and He is sovereign in all things that you do. So you can't lie to Him. You can't hide from Him.
And
Just
you
like
should give them,
Jonah.
yeah. Good.
Jonah tried to run, but what happened to
Mm-hmm.
Jonah? He ended up in the belly of the big fish.
Woo!
So
Speak on it, Unc.
we can't fool God. God made us. See, you have individuals that will come up and they will wake up one day and say, "Okay, well, let me call out to God because I messed up yesterday."
Mm-hmm.
God factors in your shortcomings and your sins
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning. He knows your end from the beginning, and He's the
Yes.
author and the finisher of your faith. So, like I said, you can't fool God.
You can. The
And when you
Bible
come to
says,
that knowledge,
yes, the Bible says he knew us before we entered the womb, which means it
right?
was infinite. He knew who we were going
Yes.
to be, what was going to happen. He knew everything. So people who tend to, like you said, they come in and out of their relationship with God, or they try to lean on their understanding. What scripture is that,
Yeah,
where
lean
people
not
try to
unto your
lean on
own
their understanding?
understanding. Proverbs 3. What's that?
Proverbs. Hmm.
Yes,
Proverbs 3,
yes, yes.
3
See,
and 5.
you see, this is
Mm-hmm.
how God does it. Do not
Mm-hmm.
lean on your understanding. Give it to God. When you're in prayer every day, it's a relationship that you should take seriously. In
Yeah.
fact, it's the most important relationship in my life. And I've said that to everybody I know, including my wife. And I love my wife very much, but God is where the beginning and the end is. He is the Alpha and the Omega. And so at the end of the day, we have to take that relationship very seriously. I live in the spirit. I love the spirit. I could be sitting around with anybody and be looking off praying and in prayer and talking to God and receiving information from God. It's just such a powerful, powerful thing, which is actually how this podcast came about, for us to share with our community and our brothers and sisters. And it's been powerful so far and growing. And I want to thank you, Brother Mike, for being on here. This is wonderful and
Yes.
great
Amen.
that you're present with us. We
Yes.
also want to talk a little bit about some things we want to do to help our people in currency and potentially even at some point start our own coin in digital currency. So we're going to switch over a little bit, guys. And now that Brother Mike has given his testimony, we've talked a little bit about that. Now we're going to talk a little bit about this digital currency and yeah, I want to get some understanding from you guys. That's not one of my strong suits. So, Brother Mike, how would you introduce digital currency and the utilities and all those things that come with it? I'm gonna open up the floor to you to share what your thoughts are on that.
Well, what I would like to do first is give an example.
Okay.
Um, one of the, I guess, one of the best examples that I could use is back in the day before credit cards, before checkbooks. Um, basically we were using cash barter system, like a cash barter system. Then came along credit cards, and I had myself and Brother Joseph been in a conversation about this. The first credit card that we can remember, and I used to work in restaurants,
Yeah.
and one of the first credit cards I saw was one called the Diner's card.
Right.
Mm.
That was like one of the first credit cards that I was even familiar with.
Mhm.
And what would happen, I believe that was like a beta. If we understand what a beta testing system is,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
like when these large corporations do something, they'll try something on the beta system. They'll try it, test it, make sure it's working right, that type of thing.
Mhm.
And that's the stage that cryptocurrency is in right now. Is in what we
Mhm.
might call a beta system. They're testing it. They're making sure it works. But the comparisons is with a credit card. A credit card is basically a representation of either the amount of credit that you've been given by a institution or by a bank or by a department store. That credit card represents a certain amount of money. It's not the money, but it represents the money. So when we first started talking about these Diner cards, they had a specific amount of credit that they could go to any restaurant that honored that card and order whatever they wanted, and then they had pay back on the credit. Um, then we started hearing about credit cards coming from the banks. So now the banks started giving out credit cards, and people could go out and buy now retail at these different stores that honored that credit card.
Mhm.
So whether it was Sears or Richards or Macy's, uh, any type of store, clothing store, retailer that honored that credit card, they could use it. So
Mhm.
the powers that be are the ones that control the system. They're looking at it and they're like, wait a minute, this credit card is working.
Mhm.
Well, let's set up something called a debit card to where the person could actually have the money in our banks, and
Mhm.
and that's another that would be a whole nother podcast to where how the money works when it's sitting in their banks. But
Mhm.
when what we're dealing with is the concept of how they are maneuvering money and how money is the technology of money is actually growing. So
Mhm.
here it is. The debit cards came out. So
Mhm.
those now that open up a bank account could actually get a debit card that represented the money that they had in the bank and use it. We're talking about Mastercard. We're talking about Visa card on it all basically all over the world. So anybody that actually had a card with Visa on it could go anywhere Visa and they could use that card on a debit card for the money that they had in the bank, and the bank would
Mhm.
always limit it. They would limit it. That's the key. They would limit what we could actually spend of our own money. That's
Mm.
our money, but they give us a card and say, well, you can only use so much in a day, or you can only
Mhm.
pull so much out of the bank in a day.
Mm.
So all these points now, when money is growing, money is moving. Now we come to the point of where, but even one other thing, now we can go into almost any store and they have what's called gift cards. These cards have a certain amount of value that you
Mm-hmm.
can use at Applebee's restaurants, and they're changing. It's the same thing, but they're changing it so that they can get the value from our pockets. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so here it is now. We're talking about the cryptocurrency, this crypto system. Um, Basically, the Bitcoin, which most people know about, started right around 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the thing, brothers. If we could have did this podcast back in
Whoo!
2009,
Don't
Oh,
don't
we'll be
don't
and,
go
cooking.
there,
and,
brother
and
Mike.
Yeah,
said,
Don't
well,
yeah,
go
hey,
don't do that. Don't do
hey,
Can
We'll
I
be
just say this
filthy out
right
listen,
quick?
here. The whole
The
community.
Bitcoin
let
back
me
then
get a
was a
piece of
half
this.
a penny. It was a half a
It was
penny.
a half a penny.
Right.
It was a half a
Mm-hmm.
penny. It was a half a penny. And this is the thing. We started a crypto group called Crypto Community Project International. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into that a little later, but we're still trying to tie into what this crypto is. And basically Bitcoin represents crypto. So
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin being we call it the grandfather of crypto,
Mm-hmm.
what they call the cryptonography.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, Bitcoin is a representative of something that just exploding right now. Crypto is exploding. So for those that have a desire to understand it, it's in the comparisons to another example would be the stock market.
Right.
If back in this use just back in 1980,
Mm-hmm.
back in 1980, if we were exposed to the stock market,
Mm-hmm.
what stock would you invest in, brother Jay? What
Uh,
stock would?
I think Amazon was one that started at next to nothing and blew up. Microsoft,
Okay,
Google, those are a few of the ones that went out of control. Went out of
okay. Now
control.
have you ever heard of Coca-Cola?
Of course, yeah. Coca Cola, PepsiCo.
Something you just said, of course.
Yes.
There are certain things that we on a daily. Coca-Cola is started in Atlanta, but
Mm-hmm.
Coca-Cola is international.
Okay.
Okay, if you think about crypto in that way,
Mm-hmm.
something that started one place. No, everybody doesn't have to buy Coca-Cola. Everybody isn't going to participate in crypto. That's the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. Everybody isn't going to participate in crypto. But when Coca-Cola started, we could buy one stock of Coca-Cola back in like 1980
Mm-hmm.
for like around, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 4 cents,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
four pennies. Now, if we had known that back in 1980, we could have took our penny jar, the penny jar, the dime jar, the nickel jar, the quarters, and bought stock into something
And
that
became
today is
millionaires.
worth over $12,000 per stock,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Coca-Cola. And
That's a good
then another one I like to use is McDonald's because all of us have eaten at McDonald's. All of us have participated in eating at McDonald's, Happy Meal and everything else, Big Mac. But back in 1980,
Mm-hmm.
if we had just bought just one stock, if we knew about the stock, I'm saying if we had the knowledge to say, how can I get involved in this stock? We could have bought, and I got to look at my notes, y'all. I'm 65.
Oh, no
Uh,
worries.
we could have bought McDonald's. Let me reverse that. Coca-Cola was 20 cents in 80. McDonald's was 4 cents.
Mm.
So basically for pennies, we could have bought into a stock at that time had we known about what stock was and how it worked. But
Mm-hmm.
me coming up, I didn't have anybody to teach me about stocks. When I looked in the newspaper, I just saw a bunch of numbers running just across the newspaper, a bunch of numbers. Didn't have any understanding what it was. But all those numbers meant money.
Mm-hmm.
All those numbers meant wealth in this society, in this era that we living in. We have reached a pinnacle or a certain level concerning money to where what we could have got connected with then in 1980 is available to us in 2024 through the, and that's not saying that stocks aren't available to us. Stocks are also available to us, but what's moving faster, or what's going to move faster even than more than stocks, is cryptocurrency. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because of the way cryptocurrency is set up. Never before has there been a system to where, you talk about the middle class,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about the upper class being the rich, and we talk about the middle class. Well, who are the class of people under the middle class? Though the people that's under the middle class are what we would consider poor people.
Right.
This system, this crypto system, has now made it available to where not only the rich, not only the middle class, not even the poor, anybody that even has pennies or has nickels, dimes, or quarters can now
Mm-hmm.
invest in a system and become financially wealthy by picking the right cryptocurrency. See, we think about Bitcoin as like I say, the grandfather of the foundation. Well, think
Right.
of crypto like this. Let's say we've got a massive building that's stretching over miles,
Mm-hmm.
but we're gonna build that building with bricks. The foundation will always be Bitcoin, which is basically looked at as like a store of value.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're building on.
Mm-hmm.
The bricks are each crypto, and each crypto represents something. Now, the key thing is that within cryptocurrency, they have what they call meme coins. These are coins like, let's say we took Bro Joseph for an example.
Mm-hmm.
If we took Bro Joseph and made a cartoon out of Bro Joseph, we could put it out as a meme coin. We could
Mm.
put anything behind it, but because of Bro Joseph, when people see him, they're gonna be like, "Look at that guy," as a cartoon. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with you, Bro J. That's
Mm-hmm.
like what a meme coin. We could use Popeye. We could use Popeye. We could use Mighty Mouse. Let me bring it up. We could use Shazam. We could use Superman.
Wow.
Anybody like that would be a meme coin. People can create a crypto coin that has a value. They has a value of what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But there are coins that have a value that's called a utility value. Now,
Okay.
utility value would be like AT&T, um, somebody that's doing something that people are using. Um, Bell South, Verizon,
Xfinity.
Xfinity. All these would be like utility coins.
Gotcha.
Gas, Atlanta Gas and Light. Where we get out, those would be like utility coins. They have a purpose. People are
Mm-hmm.
going to use them.
Mm-hmm.
So those coins are the coins that we have to identify. Now, when I first got involved in cryptocurrency, I was looking at the meme coin because you can get them real cheap. You can get them for less than a penny, and you buy a bunch of them, buy millions of them, billions of them, and then hope they go to a penny. That was my
Mm-hmm.
concept when I first got involved. But
Thinking bigger
experiencing,
now.
oh yeah, yeah, because now everything that I'm looking at now, and that's not to say I don't have any meme coins. There are some coins, a few coins, but those are far less than the coins that I have that are utility coins. The
Okay.
utility coins are going to help build the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, you're thinking of it like a foundation and a building that's spread for miles. The actual system of the cryptocurrency, the parts that they are using to build out the utility coins are coins that have value and that are bringing value to the entire world. Those are the coins that you really want to, as far as get involved and be a part of it. And the example I'm giving you is that Bitcoin now is valued at over $60,000. Okay, if Bitcoin doubles, then it would go from the 60,000 to like 120 in value.
Okay.
But if we're able to look at the utility coins that are built in the crypto community, in the cryptocurrency, an example I like to use XRP.
RP.
If you ever heard of XRP was a coin that I mean a very good coin, very good utilities behind it, but the SEC decided that they were going to hold back the company Ripple, which was putting out XRP, in order to where they could control the crypto system. That's the whole. That's the whole purpose behind government, is to govern everything.
The Securities
So they-
Exchange Commission.
They're trying to govern everything, but just using that one as an example, because that's the one that they decided to. Well, there's some other ones that they actually sued, but Ripple XRP was the only company that decided we're gonna fight back. And basically they fought back and they won this suit, but still it's like they're still in the beta system. But they got all these different financial institutions, banks, and everything that they partner with. But it's not only XRP; it's several other cryptocurrencies that have put themselves in position to be able to be a leader in the crypto community. So, actually, using the example of the stocks, if we could find Coca-Cola, if we could find McDonald's, if we could find
Of the Bitcoin, basically.
if we could find those companies in the crypto community, and be able to pay, even under $1 to own, because you actually own that one crypto currency. You own it as a digital. It's a digitized representative of what we could compare to like stock, but it's like you own it. You can own it on the exchange, because the exchanges are the ones that's selling the cryptos, and every exchange doesn't sell every crypto. That's the thing about the exchanges. It's hundreds of different exchanges that sells thousands of different crypto. But the key issue is taking the time to research it, get a wallet. That's what scared me when I first heard about Bitcoin, that you got to have a wallet. I'm like, wait a minute, but I got my own wallet. What I need a wallet for? But I didn't understand the concept of what they were doing. They were actually building a system that we'd have been having a whole different conversation had we got a wallet
and invested,
being able to put some Bitcoin in it, Ethereum, whatever, anything of value that's on there, and there's several of them that have great value. But it's to the point, it's a growing system that's touching every part. Brother, they're going to be down to the computer, the headphones, anything that of ownership. They're going to be what they call tokenizing. They're going to get ready to they're preparing to do that now. They're going to tokenize everything that's sold, bought. But even though it's a control type thing, because they can know who got what, who bought what, and where it went.
Okay, Brother Mike. This is amazing. And so I don't want to go too far off into the weeds, because most of the people, like you said, they're not even familiar with cryptocurrency enough. And I don't want to go too far, you know what I mean, for their understandings.
Right.
But I do have a few questions that I want to ask you. So if I understand this correctly, the Bitcoin is it's still in the beta system where they're testing it. And the government's trying to control it like they do everything else, obviously. And And so my next question would be, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners want to know, should we be trying to come together and create our own
Now, you say our own, you mean our own what now?
cryptocurrency, some form of cryptocurrency? Should we, if we decided to all unite and come together as a group, should we try to create a cryptocurrency?
If you got an idea concerning anything,
Mm-hmm.
I mean concerning anything, if you got an idea,
Mm-hmm.
you can take that idea and develop it and create a crypto coin or token.
Okay.
Or token. Basically, the coins have their own blockchain.
Okay.
So, in other words, Ethereum has its own blockchain. The blockchain is basically something to where they have organized everything has to run on their system,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to run the way that their system runs. Bitcoin has its own blockchain, its own system. Even the one I was talking about with XRP, it has its own system. XLM, which is under the Stellar, because XRP and XLM, the guys that started that, they started together and then they split off, and they're doing their own thing, but each one is still moving money. Some things are not moving money. Some are like NFTs, what they call NFTs. It's a non-refundable or non-refund. Some of the technical stuff I get kind of
Non-fundable tokens.
Non-refundable tokens. See what I mean, bro? When the two of us come together, see how we got each other's back on that.
Yeah,
bro. This system is so valuable because of what it's going to be doing. If you think about the internet, just real quick. If you think about the internet, I did a business where I was doing unclaimed property. The different states have unclaimed property, so I used to have to go into the state in order to go in, write out the records, record the records, and so I had to write it out. The internet now advanced it to where I don't have to go anywhere. I can just go to my computer and pull up the state information and contact people. The next generation of this is where they're going to be tokenizing everything. Now, what's going to happen is that just like with real estate property, using that for an example, the deed is recorded down at the county, but that deed is going to be tokenized to where now when a person owns a property, that's going to be you. Nobody else can come in there and trick the system, because people are doing that, tricking the system and taking ownership of other people's property. But with the crypto, it's like once it's been documented onto the blockchain, which is on a ledger, nothing can change it. Nothing can change that. So, but these systems they got now, people can manipulate, cross the systems up. But I'm saying, when all this happens, everything is going to change. If you come up with something to where, like I say, it could be a meme coin, it could have a purpose within a system, as long as it has some type of utility, it's going to become valuable.
Bro Mike, I mean, interrupt. Can you, because for the sake of those that are novices in this, can you sort of break down the blockchain technology in terms of transactions, so that way they can give them a picture?
Blockchain, from my understanding, as far as what the blockchain is, the blockchain is basically what we would consider a computer. A computer that's housing information. Somebody, just like each one of our computers is housing information. That information that's on your computer, even though the computer is set up the same, the operating system or whatever, the operating system would be just like Bitcoin has its own operating system.
Mm-hmm.
So Microsoft, um,
Mm-hmm.
Lexus, with some of the other, all the other different operating systems would be operate on that blockchain, and everything is recorded on that blockchain pertaining to anything that's used within that system. So if you're thinking about a system like Microsoft,
How protected is it? Is it hackable? Like, can people get in there and try to change stuff?
No.
well, see, the thing about it is that they have what they call most nodes. If you nodes are where
Right.
everybody everybody within that system has to agree for it to even get onto the blockchain. So in other words, if all three of us are agreeing on that the sky is blue, we agree on that. Anything that operates in our system has to also agree on that. But
Ah.
it's hundreds of computers that have established that we agree that the sky is blue. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
so anybody coming into that system saying no, the sky is red, it won't work in that system. It won't
Mm.
even be allowed in that system. So the point I'm making is that the security of it, and I believe me now, I don't know all the technical
Mm.
sides of that, but they all the all of the computers have to agree on that blockchain.
And they're
Gotcha.
called miners.
Right.
Ah,
And
gotcha.
And yeah, and can I just add this too? See, it
Mm.
circumvents your traditional wire transfer. If I wanted to send money to Bro Mike in Africa back 20 years ago, I would have to go to my bank and get a wire transfer to send that money, and then there's time delay.
right.
But through the blockchain system, each transaction has its own key number.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bro Mike and I would
Address. Mm-hmm.
address.
Mm-hmm.
We will exchange our address numbers, and I can send money directly to him through the blockchain system,
Mm.
circumventing the traditional wire transfers at the bank. And
Okay.
it's expeditious. It doesn't take days like a
Changes everything.
wire transfer. Right. It's
Okay. So
just
it's almost real
minutes.
time.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I got a couple other questions I want to make sure some of our viewers out there get, because let's say, because we got to spell it out like, novices, like they know nothing. So
Exactly.
let's say for our viewers, they say, hey, because I've had people come to me and say, hey, if we all come together like a group of us, and let's say your podcast grows to, millions, and we all decide we all want to invest simultaneously inside some type of like you said, a blockchain or crypto, or create something for ourselves, and we all invest a certain amount simultaneously. What are the pros and cons to that? Should we do it, and would it make sense? And what would you do with that?
Okay. Now, the purpose of creating what you're saying that you want to create,
Mm-hmm.
the purpose of it would be in what's called the white paper, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically your business plan.
Mm-hmm.
The white paper would describe everything that you're saying that you want your coin to represent, or you
Mm-hmm.
want your token to represent. Now, people would be investing in what you're saying that they'll be buying your coin, they'll be buying
Mm-hmm.
your token digitally. The actually the money. Now, this is the side of it. When people are buying the coin, the from my understanding, the exchanges will buy a certain amount of coin at the value that whatever you would say the value is. All that is the numerology, the numbers of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the key thing is that building that coin that you want to build to represent whatever it is that you want to be. Let's say we want to be. I'm just using it as an example. Let's say we come together and say we want to build schools in Africa. I just use that for an example.
Ah, got you.
We say we want to build schools in Africa. So our white paper will break that down. Our token will represent the schools in Africa that we want to build,
Mm-hmm.
and then as we're putting it out to the world,
Mm-hmm.
people will look at it and say, "Wow, I like to own a few of those tokens. Look what they're doing." So then
Mm-hmm.
people would purchase the coins through an exchange that we have negotiated to put our coin on that exchange so it
Ah,
can go for sale.
gotcha, gotcha.
Because now the thing about it, Brother Jay, is that there are hundreds of exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
Some here in like Coinbase, and I use them for an example. Coinbase, Crypto.com, they're regulated under the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you didn't want to deal with an exchange that's regulated under the U.S. You There are hundreds of other exchanges that you can actually negotiate to put your coin on that wouldn't be regulated by people in the U.S. can still buy it, but
Gotcha.
you're not under that regular. Now, because U.S. is going to try to tax they're going to try to tax everything.
That's what I was gonna ask.
If you're selling your coin, they're going to
Yeah.
want, because it's a capital gains tax that they're going to try to put on you.
So my question would be then, so would you determine from all of these platforms the stability level, of the ones that you want to mess with, as well as, like you said, the taxable or what's taxable and what those levels are? Like, how do you, is there a way for you to know how stable and all of these things are related to each of these platforms?
You're going deep, bro, Jay. You're going deep. Uh,
Well, look, I mean, this is something these guys are going to want to know. So, what we might
yeah,
have to do is we might have to bring someone who is, way up there in that type of thing, because we got
yeah.
something called the Generational Wealth Now agenda, which is trying to help our communities not only spiritually, which this podcast is doing, but also with our temple, which is our body. So, we're looking at starting farms that have healthier food than what the U.S. gives us, which
Okay.
is all that ultra processed food with the preservatives and all of these different things. In a lot of countries, they have much better food than what we're doing here in the U.S. So there's a whole list of things we're doing on a Generational Wealth Now. It's on our website, and Unc can send that to you. We can send that out. But at the end of the day, the agenda is to help our communities grow wealth in all of these different areas. So that would be a coin if we started this Generational Wealth Now. So we'll have to do some due diligence, is what you're saying, some
That's right.
deep diving
That's
into
right.
what all of this stuff is. And we might have to bring someone on and talk to them a little bit. But you know what? Right now, I think we went a little too deep into this, because like you said, some people may never even try to go into the digital currency until it gets out of its beta stage, and maybe never. And so we just really gonna have to really explore all of this stuff really deeply. So I don't want to go too far off on the deep end. I know right now some of our audience is probably like, so
But
let's kind of, unless you guys got something else to say, I'm gonna cap that part because I got some other questions for y'all.
okay,
Go ahead.
one quick thing. And I don't have the information where I can show you, but I can link it to you
Mhm.
to where you have it. Um, but we have a group called the Crypto Community Project International.
Okay.
Main purpose is just like what we're doing now, trying to give people a basic knowledge of what crypto is, and
Hmm.
then get them to set up a wallet to where
Okay.
they'll be able to. I mean, for as little as $5,
Hmm.
$10, 20. We talking about small amounts of money, like like pocket change, to where it'll get them started to where they will have a coin or coins that have a utility
Hmm.
to where if they'll just hold on to that, and once this system builds, then they'll reap the rewards of holding on and getting the wallet, getting those coins. And to say that something can reach where Bitcoin is now, that's going to be a small statement, because when utilities come in, because the utility of Bitcoin is maybe one or two.
Hmm.
But then when we're talking about the utility of coins that's going to have a huge impact, bro, it's like you're flashing like that to some of
Hmm.
these coins, because it's like one of the coins I keep referring to is XRP. XRP is 60 cents, under $1 right now. But
Hmm.
XRP is, once you understand what a stable coin is, a stable coin is what moves from the crypto universe or the crypto system.
Hmm.
A stable coin it's like the bridge to what we call U.S. dollar, what we call the euro, what we call all of the pesos, and uh, from the understanding is to be able to own what's in the crypto system of the crypto community of the cryptocurrency, own the cryptocurrency, and be able to understand how to move the value of that crypto coin into where I can pay my bills here, where I can buy my house, I can buy my car because of the value that's gone there. And one quick thing we talked about that me and Brother Joseph were talking about is that, well, how can we do that without paying this? Because they're trying to increase the taxes on capital gains. That's what they consider capital gain. And I'm like, me personally, I don't agree with the concept of if I'm making $100 that the government can get 40 of it. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Wait a minute, they're gonna take $40 from me or more on something that I put the work in. But anyway, that's a whole nother issue there too. But
Yeah,
but here it is that
I'm familiar with that issue.
yeah, oh my, that right there.
Yeah.
This is a system, but this is a system, and it's called if you hear the term DEX, that's a DeFi exchange.
Yes.
That's where you can buy almost any type of coin. But the DeFi exchange doesn't report to the government. They're a separate thing. That's what Bitcoin is based on. Bitcoin was based on, here it is something that I can exchange with you individually, and you and I can do it. That's between you and I. Doesn't have anything to do with the government. Doesn't have it. It's similar to like a barter system. I'm changing this out.
Yeah, free exchange. Yeah.
It's a free exchange. But the government doesn't want free exchange. They want a percentage of everything that we do.
Right.
But the DeFi, which is the DEX exchange, allows us to do just that. And they don't like it. And that's the big issue that
anything where they're not getting part of it, they don't like it. That's how the government works. If I don't got my hand in your pocket, then it shouldn't happen.
Yeah, right. I consider people the systems that like that. That's like a gangster.
Yeah, they are. This system is a gangster. This capitalist system is a gangster.
And you got to look at it too that a lot of Americans, we tied to the banking system. But then let's look over the world. See, you got a large percentage of people in other countries, they didn't have the banking system. So that's what made the Bitcoin so popular.
Right.
It was utilized because people was able to make those digital exchanges. See, and now that it has grown like it has, see, it's no stopping it. I mean, it's a stampede now.
So it's the next big thing. It's in the beta stage. They see it's lucrative, and they see they could tax it and make a ton of money off of it. And so that's what their goal is, to make a ton of money off our exchanges related to the system.
Exactly.
And they did that with everything, whether it be alcohol and prohibition, whether it be now they're about to legalize marijuana so they can make everything off of that. That's how this government works. It always has worked this way. And I couldn't imagine it's going to change because they want their hand in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is now on the what is that? The electronic traded funds now is on the stock exchange.
Yeah, on stock market.
It's on the stock market. Bitcoin, see, because it's outpacing the fiat dollar due to the fact that people are beginning to realize just how valuable it is, and that's why you got many other coins and tokens. And see, and there's a difference there. The coins are tied to the blockchain. Correct me if I'm wrong, bro, Mike. And then there are tokens that is connected to those coins that's on the blockchain. So that industry now has grown into the trillions of dollars, whereas before it was ignored. And now people that dabbled in cryptocurrency some years ago are getting 1099 from these exchanges. So they got to pay taxes on all of the monies that they was played with, that the government had ignored years ago. And that's where we are today.
Yeah. Well, look, I hope everyone out there listening, I hope that too much of this related to the crypto and things we're talking about didn't go over your head. But we're gonna leave you with a message from each of us. Brother Mike and Child of God Joseph, I want you guys, if you could just send a message out to the young folks about this monetary system related to crypto, and should you invest, and should you start the wallet, and talk a little bit about the group you guys are in and how easy it is to join. I'll make sure that we get our editors to put up what is the name of the system or the group you guys have?
It's Crypto Community Project International.
Okay, crypto community. Now, does who leads that group, or is it just a group of individuals?
Brother
Well,
Mike is fine. Go ahead, Brother Mike.
it's a group that I started, but I have like um, was it 12 founders and four co-founders. So it's actually a group of 16 people that
Mm-hmm.
are behind the group.
Mm-hmm.
And we started out, like I said, I started out trying to find my way through this crypto thing. But the the primary focus of the group is to anybody that's interested in crypto is to help them to get a wallet, and then to assist them or to direct them into uh, putting utility coins in that wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you think about it, if you just had one Bitcoin, where would you be?
$60,000.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if
Oh,
we, if we,
we already talked about that. If
yeah,
you had got in early on any of those
oh,
things,
any of that,
even the stock market at the beginning, and this is going to be the next wave, is what I'm hearing from y'all. It's in that beta phase, and now the
yeah,
government is trying to take it over, control things,
Uh-huh.
but it's the next wave. And if our community could come together and start to make those type of investments early now to figure out
exactly,
what,
Exactly.
yeah, what cryptos, what utilities, what should be put in your wallet. If we can make those great decisions now, it could transform wealth in our communities. And
exactly.
so, what's the name of your group? Is what, one more time, brother Mike?
It's Crypto Community Project International.
International.
And we're gonna get knee deep into this, guys. This is just our introduction,
Yes.
and
Yes,
so, hey, the understanding of this introduction to it got me sweating over here to get so, and I'm sure a lot of our people watching feel the same way. Like, this is too much for me. This is way too much. But hey, don't
yeah,
look at it that way. What you
no,
guys
no,
should really understand is that it is the next wave. And what the government will do is they will try to control it and keep changing how this thing is working. So we need to get in early. You need to get your wallet. You need to get an understanding of this stuff. And so we can then grow our wealth and our communities. And I know the next step for the podcast is going to be for us to figure out with you guys as a group, our followers,
mm,
if we want to start a coin, if we want to do the generational wealth now as a coin, and if we want to start donating to it monthly, once a month maybe, or as a group decide
yeah,
how we want to get this thing done. But it all translates back to wealth in your family. And again, generational wealth, which is what's been lacking since slavery in our communities. So this is going to be huge, everybody. I hope you paid
yeah,
attention to Brother Mike, to Child of God Joseph. I hope you were really listening about the next wave related to these things. I love you guys so much. Is there anything you want to add, Brother Mike or Child of God Joseph, before we sign off here?
I just want to say that this is a locomotive that is coming right at you, young folks. You are millenniums, and this is your money that is coming to Advent right now. So it behooves you to learn as much as you can about cryptocurrency because it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. So if it's here to stay, you need to learn how to manipulate and operate in it and through it and around it. That's all I have to say.
Amen.
and
And
I
I would
just want,
say, go
and
ahead.
I just like to add, don't let fear hold you back, because when we first heard about these things some years ago, when I first heard about Bitcoin, fear and not knowing, I'm like, I don't want to get involved. But for
Mhm.
the sake of your children, for the sake of your grandchildren, those that are older, those that are
Mhm.
younger, for the sake of the ones that haven't even got here yet,
Mhm.
get your wallet, do your research, find out, and we're gonna make it to where if you need help from us, we're gonna be able to help you. We're gonna be able to move you along the guidelines. It's not that difficult. It's not as difficult as they make it. It will be more difficult when things go awry and you don't have it, than
Mm-hmm.
going through what you got to go through to research it to have it. So that's what I want to add. Just do what you can do, and make sure that you contact us. You contact the platform here, the information that we're going to be putting out. Uh, Whatever you need, if we don't know, we know where to find it. If we don't know the
Amen.
information, we know where to find it.
Amen.
And I think the conclusion for me is that you all learn from lessons from our past. We want to get in at the beginning of the wave. That's what has happened in the past where we missed it. Our parents, when things like that, they were saying when Coca Cola was 20 cents and what was the other? Was it
McDonald's,
McDonald's? 4 cents.
McDonald's.
See,
4 cents.
we were scared, like you said, fear. Don't let any of those things happen because
Yes.
we missed all of those waves that made all of these other
Oh yeah.
people millionaires and billionaires and
Right,
stuff like that. They got in early on the wave. So
right.
what we want to do right now, while it's in this beta stage, which means it's still early on the
Yes.
wave,
Yes.
we need to come together and get this thing figured out. And so, if you guys want to get that done, join Brother Mike, join Child of God Joseph, join myself, and we're going to get this thing going. We
Yes.
love you. God bless. We will see you on the next
All right.
episode. All right,
Amen.
everybody.